All right, in this lesson, we're going to work on the A chord. So this chord, it can be, again, challenging just like the D chord, but again, as we're beginning to play these chords, we are going to notice some discomfort, both in our fingers as well as just playing these chords in general, getting your fingers to do the right things. And kind of sometimes, I remember when I was learning, I had to use my other hand to kind of get my fingers in place so that I, could play it properly, because my fingers just didn't want to do it. It's going to feel like that, and that's totally normal. So let's take a close-up of the A chord. And if you're looking at the diagram, you're going to notice the lowest string, so the low E string, is going to have an X, so we're not going to play that string. We are going to play the next 5 strings. So we're going to play the open A, that's the 5th string, and then on the D string, we're going to play the 2nd fret. Now let's start with your 3rd finger, because you're going to notice something here. We want to get nice and close to the edge of the fret. So something about the A chord, you're going to notice that, man, my fingers are just jammed in there, because you're going to see that we're playing 3 different strings all on the same fret. So our fingers are kind of jammed in there. So what I like to do oftentimes is I like to start on the 3rd finger, because that's the one that you're going to get really close to the fret. Now, and remember the rule, we do try to get as close as we can to the fret, but in some cases it's just not possible because your fingers are just sort of crammed in there. So you're going to have your 3rd finger on the 2nd string, which is the B string. You're going to have your 2nd finger on the G string, also on the 2nd fret. And then this is where it gets tricky, because you got to fit that index finger in there, and you also have to push down even harder, because it's so far back that you're going to get a buzzing sound if you don't push down hard enough. So your 1st finger is going to be on the 2nd fret of the D string. Oftentimes a problem area in this chord is not just getting a nice clean sound, but it's also the 1st string, having your 3rd finger hang over and mute that 1st string. So just be mindful of that as you're playing this A chord. And then, so if that's happening, just move your fingers up a little bit. You're trying to use your fingertips. Keep your elbow in. One other thing you can do, especially when you're first learning chords, you'll kind of see later on we're going to change our positioning of our hand and our wrist, but one thing that's helpful at the beginning when you're learning is to keep your thumb sort of in the back of the neck. And that will just make sure that you've got lots of room with your fingers to play the chords properly and with good technique. So it is good to try to keep your thumb back here if you can. Use your fingertips. And again, as we're working on these chords, we want to hit each string one at a time. Make sure they're nice and clean. And then you can strum them a couple times. And there is our open A major chord. Okay, I hope your fingers are feeling okay. Keep working on these chords. Again, a lot of it's muscle memory, so it's just repetition over and over, trying these chords until you get to the point where it's just second nature. Your fingers will just go to those chords, but it will be challenging at first, so don't give up or get too frustrated. That's going to happen. It could take a few hours, it could take a few days, it could take a few weeks, before you're comfortably playing some of these chords. All right, have fun with that. We'll see you in the next lesson.